Good morning. In this video, we're going to talk about inequalities. I know you've missed videos a lot, and so you're welcome. We're going to start off by talking about writing inequalities and sort of discussing what inequalities are. We're going to compare them to equations, and we're going to talk about how we can graph solutions to inequalities. Let me change that. There. All right, so let's get started. Now, if you have ever been to an amusement park, you've always seen that certain rides you have to be tall enough to ride. And so you might see a sign that says you need to be over 150 centimeters tall for this ride. So over 150 centimeters tall. This means that your height just has to be greater than 150, but it doesn't have to be a specific height. You don't exactly have to be 151 or 150.5. You could be an infinite number of heights and still ride this ride. You can be 151, 152, 153, up to infinity, right? Even though I'm sure at some point it would still be dangerous. So maybe they have a maximum height. I don't know. But in this case, your height, let's say it's h, would have to be greater than 150 centimeters. And I'm using the sign here. We'll talk about signs in more detail, but I'm assuming you've seen it before. So your height has to be greater than 150, there we go, centimeters. Okay? And the most important thing here to notice is that there's no specific or particular height that you need to be. Okay? So please make note of that. There are multiple solutions here. And I want you to compare this to our work with equations. So let me remind you of this exciting word problem. Matt and his best friend found some money buried in a field. They split the money evenly, each getting 28. Notice how the wording here is different. It says each of them got $28. So exactly $28. It's not each of them got at least 28 or over 28 or more than or less than 28. So whenever we're discussing inequalities, we have multiple solutions. Whenever we are discussing equations, we have exact solutions, right? So we have exact or precise solutions, okay? Compared to just the wording being like over. And before we delve any deeper, I wanted to discuss the signs, okay? So you've seen them before. I just wanted to discuss what they meant. Okay, so this sign is the less than sign. So it's read less than. So you would if you're writing something like x and 5, then you say x is less than 5, and you can usually spot it because it kind of looks like an L. Is it N-L or A-L? I don't know. N-L. And then this sign is the less than or equal to sign, right? Which is saying like something like at most, if you have a budget and so you can spend at most 200 pounds, for example, it means you can spend less or equal to 200 pounds. And that extra bar underneath the less than sign can just be considered like an abbreviated equal sign. So as if we put an equal sign, but we're trying to make it simpler, and so we put just one line. This sign is the greater than sign, and you can tell that it doesn't look like an L. And this is the greater than or equal to sign. So in this case, if it's like at least this amount, then it would be this amount or more. All right. Now, how do we graph solutions? Let's say we have a problem to where an equation actually where our final result is x equals -5. In this case, our solution would just be a point right above -5 on the number line over here. Okay. In a different situation, we might have the solution being x is greater than or equal to 3. Again, remember this is greater than or equal to. And this is +3. So we go to +3 here. We put the point in because it can be equal to 3, but it can also be equal to anything greater than 3. And so we draw this line. Okay. So notice the difference. Here, just one point because it's equal to -5. Here, it's a line to the right because it's greater than, and it's a full circle. And this circle is colored in, by full circle I mean it's colored in, because the value can be equal to 3. This is allowed. In the last one, we have x is less than negative 2. So we'll go to the negative 2, but notice this time that x cannot be equal to negative 2. So I can't draw a colored in circle. I have to draw an empty circle like that. And then the line is going to the left because it can be equal to anything less than that value. Okay? So it's going to the left and it's an empty circle. All right? So to summarize all of this, and to compare inequalities and to equations, which is something we've done before. Inequalities, you'll always see the inequality signs. So greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. But with equations, you'll only ever see the equal sign. With inequalities, you don't have a precise answer. Whereas with equations, you only have one answer. And only one answer for now. There are more advanced equations that give you 2 answers, but we won't deal with that yet. And then with inequalities, you'll see words like at least, at most, more than, and many, many others. Okay, this is not an exhaustive list. Whereas with equations, it's always exact. You won't necessarily see the word exactly, but when they say each got $28, that means they got exactly $28. Lastly, the solutions to inequalities are graphed as a line. You saw that we put a point and drew a line, or an empty circle and drew a line. Whereas with equations, the solutions are only graphed as a point, which is slightly boring. Okay? Inequalities are more realistic because usually in real life, things don't have to be exactly equal to certain numbers, but need to be higher or lower or within a range. Okay? So hopefully this was just a review. You have a math-based task. Please email me if you have any trouble with it, and I'll see you on Zoom. Bye.